CHGO White Sox post-game show. Come to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer, if you can believe it or not. You can also read his work at allchgo.com.
If you say it 3 times, some sort of monster will appear, so be careful.
Vinnie Duber, CHGO White Sox beat writer. Vinnie Duber, CHGO White Sox beat writer. Vinnie Duber, CHGO White Sox beat writer. And then Kevin, can you go grab the Michael Jordan cutout from back there, and then maybe we make a cut here. Oh, we're live? All right. Man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at EctorWall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We're being produced today by Kevin Wells.
Yo.
Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. And if you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribing on your favorite podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple. We will be getting into the awful call, as John Schriffen said, to end the game by Emil Jiménez. That's terrible. We'll be talking about that in the first half. In the second half, we'll be talking about the 2 home runs and the big day from Luis Robert Jr. and Andrew Vaughn at the plate. And then in the third segment, we'll be jumping into some future stuff. Not only the futures game happening on July 14th, I think the same day as the draft, or I think it's the 13th. It's a Saturday. And then the draft's Sunday. Cool. So we'll be talking about the futures game. Sox have 2 representatives. I'm going to drool over George Wolkow, and that should be fun and messy. And then we also got some adjusted MLB pipeline prospect rankings that we can give you. So it is a loaded show. White Sox lose 7-6 on a walk-off sacrifice fly. Herb, I know that you are a person that likes to raise their blood pressure over the Chicago White Sox. I heard you screaming a lot during this game, especially in the 9th inning. Wherever your heart desires, paint us a picture of rage and anger.
I don't know what Eddie Rodriguez does for this team. Like,
he's the infield coach and third base coach.
He is.
Yeah. Can go get the media guy to read it for you.
It would take you back to Lenyn Sosa hits a double into the gap. Firstly, Paul DeJong walks in that inning. Lenyn Sosa comes up, hits a double. And Paul DeJong's at first, coming all the way from first with, I think, 40th percentile speed in the major league. So not fast, not necessarily slow, but kind of slow. So things you have to know as a third base coach. There's 2 outs there. So, yeah, a risk there might work out. That Lenyn Sosa is the 8th place hitter. So the 9th place hitter, Corey Lee, is coming up next. Those are 2 things that are in the favor of Eddie Rodriguez sending Paul DeJong from first all the way home. Things not in favor. Cleveland's top 10 defense. Tyler Freeman, the guy who got the ball, has got a 93 percentile arm strength. One of the best outfield arms in the game. He's throwing the ball to one of the best defensive second basemen in the game, and Jimenez with a good arm. And again, Paul DeJong not fast. So why are we sending Paul DeJong there to go home? And yes, it did take 2 great relays, but we keep on saying this about Cleveland as if they're going to mess up one of these times. They're a good defensive team. Like, stop challenging them to make them do a great play. He was out by 5 feet. The throw was perfect, and he was out. This is why I don't know why he does so many risky plays at third base, sending the White Sox. I know they have a bad offense. I know that it's so lackluster that you got to try to have runs in, but also you pressing doesn't help the problem out. Maybe just have second and third there with a slow runner, and then maybe Corey Lee comes through. Maybe. But I knew that if you're going to have that runner go from first base, who is not fast, all the way to home plate, he's going to be tired, and he looked like he had a piano on his back. And so, yeah, I'm mad about that. I'm mad about Paul DeJong being a absolute brutal shortstop. The worst shortstop, according to defensive runs saved, in the whole league. And in the inning where the Cleveland Guardians scored 4 runs, Paul DeJong exasperated that, I think it was the 6th inning, by hitting Josh Naylor in the back with a throw, and Naylor just comes right on home and scores the 4th run of that inning. It's just like, why are you on the team if you're making all the terrible defensive plays? Now, the bat's been good power-wise. It's leading the team and with 15 home runs. But today, Paul DeJong was bad. Luis Robert at the end of the game, that was pissing me off, where, yeah, he's probably more than likely not going to get Andrew Jiménez out. Try. It's the last out. What are you waiting for? Throw the ball. Get in shape. Get ready to throw the ball home, and maybe he falls down. Something happens. But throw the ball home. These things are lack of effort. And Luis Robert had an awesome game with 4 driven in, home run, and that clutch 2 RBI single that he had late in the game. But those plays right there, I'm holding him at a huge high level because he is one of the best players, talent-wise, in the league. Don't just nonchalant that. Throw the ball home. Give some effort. You got to still play the game right, even though you suck. You have to. Because these things are going to go on with the people who are going to be left behind. And if Pedro's not going to say anything, or if the rest of the team's not going to say anything, then these things persist for the next generation of players that are coming through. I know Pedro wasn't the manager at the time, but I guarantee that somebody's got to talk to Luis Robert at the end of the game and say, hey, man, throw that goddamn ball home. Get ready for the throw home, too. Like, he was just flat-footed and just accepted that they're going to lose. That's dumb. I hate it.
I forget which game this was because my memory's terrible, but there was another sac fly earlier on in the year where Robert didn't end up throwing home. It is a very difficult throw. It's a very tough throw. And part of it is, as a fan, is just, again, give it a shot. If you throw it out of, if you try to throw it and it's up the base path, if it's, in the dugout, it doesn't matter. The game is ending. And even to your point, too, we've seen this, I think, even just in the Rockies series, where Robert isn't getting behind the ball. I just always think of MLB The Show because, I've never played real-life baseball. Look at me. But MLB The Show, it gives you that indicator where you can, stand on, and then you actually approach the ball, you charge it, and then you're able to crow hop it. And it never feels like Robert's actually ever able to put himself in that position. And I understand, as you brought up, Vinny, the outfield is in there, so he has to go back to get to the ball. But it was a ball with a decent amount of hang time.
I would push back in this one instance. I think you do bring up that one from, I think, just this past series against Colorado. I think is the one.
No, there was one from earlier. I'll try to find it
because I believe there was a similar thing because he did throw. He made that tremendous throw home in that series, but I think there was another ball on the homestand. But whatever. I guess my point is, I won't speak to the broader if this is some sort of trend or something with him, but on this play specifically, they bring the outfielders in a decent amount because any ball hit a certain distance, that's it. There's no chance, right? And so I'm not sure he could have gotten in a position to make that kind of charging, gear up for a throw home kind of thing. Obviously, the base runner on third is a very good one and a quick one at that. But to your point, that shouldn't matter, right? I guess you just throw it to try and make a play. But I think in this specific instance, maybe the positioning that he was in prior to the pitch even being thrown was detrimental to that play even happening in the first place. But again, in a game like tonight, Herb, as you basically went through, a lot of mistakes and a lot of ways that a one-run loss could have maybe not been avoided, but certainly could have changed the outcome had they do if they make certain plays. The most glaring one, obviously, is the DeJong error there where he hits Naylor in the back. But, yeah, getting thrown out at home in the second inning and, maybe not giving up home runs. I mean, I think there was a homer that was hit tonight off Chris Flexen where the guy on base was a leadoff walk.
Yep.
Like, that's a mistake. Don't walk the leadoff guy or anybody really. But, I mean, there were a lot of moments in this game, and that's why, I understand fans get real hot about an umpire blowing a ball or a strike call. But I always look at it like this. An ump in baseball, a ref in another sport, like, they can only decide the game so much because there's a whole other game going on beforehand in which things can make a difference. There's no sac fly that's even possible in that moment if Michael Kopech doesn't throw that wild pitch. And again, that was a fluky thing. It looked like he just landed weird. But again, there's so many moments that lead up to the end moments that can be different that could change the outcome.
And you're talking about that walk. It was to Austin Hedges, who has 3 walks in the year.
And
worst hitter, one of the worst hitters in baseball.
The sac fly that was haunting me was the one from June 5th at Wrigley, bottom of the 7th. Bellinger hits it to, deep to medium center field. And Gomes is on third, Yan Gomes, 37-year-old Yan Gomes.
Yes.
And he doesn't even attempt to throw home.
Not the base runner of the caliber of Andres Jimenez.
No. Right. And before we get into what you just said about the I feel do I need to sit up a little bit? I feel like
no, you're
slouching.
You were slouching a little bit.
I was slouching a little bit.
I framed you up before you started talking, and that's why I wanted to. You're fine.
You're
Do
sinking.
your thing, man.
Am I sinking? No, I'm melting.
Relax. Sit back, relax, strap it down. Relax.
Before we get into the Kopech actual final at-bat and the Emil Jiménez part, let's go to the Super Chat because Peyton had a pretty good Super Chat. Super Chat for $3. Peyton Lowry saying, $1 for every strike Bo Naylor had. Shake my head. And it was a $3 Super Chat because he had 3 strikes.
3 strikes, you're out.
Well, not in this case because Emil Jiménez called the ball. So in the 7th, we see before Luis Robert Jr. comes up and drives in the tying 5th and 6th runs in the 7th, Tommy Pham rung up on a pitch that is exactly the same pitch. Rung up on the exactly same pitch that
For the most part. That one was more toward the corner. The one that Kopech threw was more middle, but just clipping the bottom of the zone like that.
So, I mean, it should have been more of a strike. So, a really just difficult time. I know that you mentioned that it's not really the umpire's fault that the White Sox lose this game. They had plenty of opportunities to win this game. And I always agree with that sentiment. But also, out of 162 games, F the umps. I mean, it does feel good to just scream out, "Blue, that was a strike." Because it was. And I think Herb had a really good yelp. Kind of like when a dog, you step on their tail.
You step on a dog's
Yeah, I mean, like it was very much like, you do a really good Hawk No impersonation. When we don't have forks over there, you let out a nice no. It's I don't know. It's frustrating that it's a part of the game, and I know we can always have the discussion about automated strike zone, but also feels good to complain. So I'm just going to complain. All right, Emil Jiménez, you suck.
You don't need to. Hey, you don't need to argue with me about that. I'm all in favor of the robot strike zone.
Yeah, and that's
you are in favor.
100%.
I'm against it.
Then it's never wrong. It's right every time.
No, I mean I don't know. Like I don't yell at.
Remember when me and Sarah had the back and forth because she's afraid of a robot revolution. She doesn't want the robot strike zone.
I think Sarah believes that it's going to be like Rosie from the Jetsons behind the plate. It's going to be.
I think Sarah thinks it's going to be the Terminator.
Yeah, that's a strike. You're questioning me. You're out. Blah.
What about an umpire with Google glasses where it has the zone built into the glasses, so it tells you if it's a ball and a strike. That way, you don't get a robot back there; it's still a person, and the strike zone's correct.
Still feels like a robot.
They would mess it up. They would still mess it up.
Well, but isn't the whole thing about an automatic strike zone is that the ump is being told if it's a strike or not?
I would imagine that's how it works.
So I mean, isn't that basically your plan, but just with goggles?
Yeah, and then right, but then there's no robot factor, and
but it is.
It still looks like
it's technology.
It still looks like your father's baseball game. There's still a guy back there calling balls and strikes.
I guess. All right. Hit that thumbs up button, and again to Luis Robert 1-2-3-4's point, he wasn't going to get him, guys. Get over him.
Yeah.
We understand that. We've tried to acknowledge that. We are truly just complaining because the White Sox lost. If the White Sox won, we would have started off with Luis Robert Jr.'s 4 RBIs. He's the greatest player ever. Not only do we want the moon that you see right now in the sky, we want a second moon. I don't know how Philadelphia is going to figure that out.
Huh? Yeah, they'll have to go to Tatooine and give both moons. Herb doesn't get that because he refuses to watch Star Wars.
What?
I don't refuse. I just haven't watched it, and now it's. I mean, there's no reason to fight.
What year were you born?
78.
How were you not swept up in Star Wars stuff? When
There were people watching, and I was like, "Good job, kids. Enjoy yourselves."
He's a contrarian. Move on.
Enjoy yourself, kids. I don't want to watch it. And they were playing with their whatever things, the
dorky toys,
Death Star or something like that. And I was like, "Good. Enjoy yourselves, Luke."
you not like toys
Layla.
when you were 6? And
Not really.
The third
That's
movie came out in 1983.
That's a weird thing. No, I really didn't like toys that much. I was a weird kid and a weird adult. So
At least he admits it.
consistency.
There you go.
And it's not about it's not about he wasn't going to do it, Luis. You have to try to do it. Not doing it is a losing mentality. Well, he wasn't going to get it. That's what losers say. And if you're a player on that field, you want effort, no matter what's going to happen. Oh, he wasn't going to throw it. So throw it down there. Maybe something happens. Maybe Jiménez falls down. Maybe he gets drunk.
And 2,
trips on a rock.
It seems more like broader outfield issues because we've seen whether it be Gavin or Andrew just completely missing cutoff guys, and then other teams able to advance to that next base.
But Gavin
Robert doesn't do that.
No, Robert doesn't do that, but Robert does have an issue that is continuous, or I feel like it's an issue. Maybe it's not. Maybe I don't know baseball. But I do think that he should be charging balls a little bit more. If you want to say, that one might have been a difficult one to truly get under because it was he was in so much. Sure, I'll be able to hear that. He wasn't going to throw him out anyways. But I just would like to see that change made because I do feel like it is a little bit slouchy. And maybe it's just because he is such a next level athlete. I expect him to do kind of the basic things. Like you can get to that ball. I expect you to get to that ball because you are a freak athlete who can, as we saw in that Rocky series, go into deep left center field and on the run, jump to the wall, catch a ball that's flying at like 110 miles per hour and bring it back. You can't charge a sac fly and just throw a 2-hopper home and walk to the dugout. Like, I don't know. It's just, it bugs me a little bit. Are we close to the break?
I think we're here.
Oh, yeah. My fault.
We're
at
here.
16.
You're all good. We're at 16. So, Herb, why don't you let us know about our friends over at Prize Picks?
Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun and exciting way to get in the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot up to winning up to 100 times your cash. With Prize Picks, you can win $10 or turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can also make a Prize Pick lineup in less than 60 seconds. All you need to pick is more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you're locked in. With the NBA Finals been over, the hoops action continues on Prize Picks. Women's basketball is heating up with stars like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, looking to make some names for themselves alongside the greats of Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson. You can win up to 100 times your cash by watching them ball out. And if you're looking for promotions, Prize Pick has you covered every week. I'm an Ayo Dosunmu guy, so points, rebounds, assists for Ayo Dosunmu is where I usually go if I'm going NBA, and I go, of course, against Trae Young when they play Atlanta. But today was Chicago Sky versus the Atlanta Dream, so points, rebounds, assists for Angel Reese, and then points, rebounds, and assists for you got your glasses. Points, rebounds, and assists for Tina Charles. So let's see. The NBA.
Charles still plays?
Yeah, I think it's a Tina Charles. Didn't I say?
Isn't Tina Charles? What am I thinking of?
I don't know what you're thinking of.
Probably Tina Turner.
And Andrew Reese, also the WNBA Rookie of the Month. I think right now they're also naming the All-Stars for the game. So we're going to see if she made the All-Star game.
She did.
She did? Okay. Andrew Reese, an All-Star too. Download the app today. Use the code CHGO for first deposit match up to $100. That's code CHGO for first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Yeah, shoot. I mean, Kemba Walker just retired, and Tina Charles was at UConn when he was there. So that's what I just meant. It's like, I didn't know Tina Charles was still around.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah. White Sox did release, Marlins did release Tim Anderson. We'll
Appreciate
talk about that later on in the week. We do want to let you know about our friends over at Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. They obviously have some lovely black sunglasses that go well with your Chicago White Sox gear. And plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, do not sweat it. They have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized shades. Try for yourself these shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Peyton says, just got some Shady Rays in preparation for my trip to Miami this weekend to see my boy Jake Berger. And man, I have been in that Miami sun, and as a very fair Irish boy, it did not like it. So some great polarized sunglasses is a smart choice.
That's the city
sunscreen.
That's the city where the heat is on.
Yes, it is. That's a song, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to Miami. Bienvenidos on Miami.
Is this Will Smith?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. I was not around when he was a musician.
Some of us had Big
Nope.
Some of us had Big Willie style on CD.
I just remember Hancock. Great
Yeah,
film.
that was
Remember
after
Men in
this.
Black song?
Men in Black came out when I was like 2,
Oh,
Jesus.
This was my favorite movie when I was a kid.
1999.
Oh, God.
It's not my favorite Tommy Lee Jones movie. Easily The Fugitive. Fugitive might be a top 10 or not even top 10, a top 1 Illinois movie.
We'll get into
No,
that.
Chicago movie.
Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Adventures in Babysitting.
It's a good movie.
So you've seen Adventures in Babysitting, not Men in Black?
Yeah, come on,
You haven't
Sean.
seen Star Wars. There's 9 films.
Hey,
You haven't
there's-
seen one of them.
As
There's
I
more
said,
than 9. There's
I-
11.
I've seen Spaceballs.
Really?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I've seen what? Spaceballs.
I'm good.
That's fair. All
I
right.
ain't seen shit.
I didn't mean to yell at you. That's probably
fine.
that's
No,
probably
he-
No, that was probably
he deserved
unhealthy.
it.
That was warranted.
He deserved it.
Yeah.
It's probably unhealthy. Hey, Kev, I'm just realizing this. We got
Uh-huh.
an empty bucket of Lineys right here.
Yeah, somebody drank them. I don't know.
Well,
where they-
actually, they're behind you. They're actually just over there. They're,
All right, hang
so
on,
could
hang
you
on,
just
hang
switch the
on. Hang on,
buckets? Because it looks like we do have Lineys. Yeah,
I
hey,
drink it
you
enough.
put it on your head.
I mean, we
guess.
have Liney's.
We have a
literally
ton of
right here.
Lineys, but,
We're literally
the-
drinking them.
The bucket's empty. All right, let's get. I did also shout out to my friend Marty, who has done a trip with his family that I'm very jealous of. Went to Chicago, then to Cleveland for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, then to Cooperstown for the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame trip.
And then back to Cleveland for the White Sox and Cleveland
Cool.
game.
That's fun.
And he just said, Sox might have played some of the worst ball I've ever seen, but they kept it exciting. So I must commend them for that. So thank you, Marty, for the report.
It's true. Another one-run game, walk-off. You got your money's worth on that one.
Yes, you did.
The last 2 games they played in Cleveland, same score, 7-6 walk-offs.
And the game where Robert didn't throw Jan Gomes out at home, 7-6. So there you go. And a Mike Talkman walk-off off Michael Kopech.
That's the last game the Cubs have actually won. Just kidding.
Okay, I was about to
Just
say.
feels- no, it just feels that.
They've
way.
only
I
won
would've
like,
believed you.
they've only won like 3 games since then. I mean, I'm looking at Cody like coming in every day. It's like, man, the Cubs are they the worst team in baseball? No. I mean, they're bad, but they're not the worst. But Cody, man, his expressions look like it.
Third worst in the NL.
But which makes them like 5 games out of the wild card.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, because the NL is trash.
There's still a chance.
There's still a chance. All right, let's get into the exciting stuff of this game. The White Sox did score 6 runs, and 4 of them were driven in by Luis Robert Jr. Also, on top of that, Andrew Vaughn has continued his hot streak. He did strike out 3 times, but what matters most is the one time he succeeded was a home run. He hit a home run in the first inning. That is his,
11th.
The 11th homer of the year. And then Robert in the 6th hit his 10th of the year. I want to start with Robert because then in the 7th he comes up, drives in that 4th run. But Vinny, you brought up earlier, we were looking at OPS pluses of the White Sox and how everyone seems to be average and how Luis Roberts at 112. And now after today.
Coming into tonight, yeah.
Coming into tonight. Now it's probably going to be more. I feel like I'm slouching again. I think it's going to be around like 120. And this is very soon, I think, going to be another player or another season for Luis Robert Jr. where he's, again, pushing that like 140 OPS plus territory. It seems like this player is different. And to credit Marcus Timms, I think we saw a little bit of this with Kevin Pillar. Kevin Pillar has been a little bit fixed. We saw it at the end of his
He's
White
killing
Sox
it,
career. We've seen this with Corey Lee. We've seen this now flip from Andrew Vaughn. And I don't know if this is Robert Jr.'s actual hitting coach and if he's actually, bouncing off teams, because we've heard Robert has his own personal hitting coach and has done his own work with his own guy. So I don't know how much Timms has influenced him, but Robert does seem to be more of a complete hitter at the plate this year. And I think in the 7th inning, we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
That reliever is trying to pitch him low and away. And it seemed like he was getting ready to pull the ball. And we said, all right, now it's time to go shoot one down the right field line. He didn't do that exactly, but still shot one up the middle and took the ball where it was. It will be very dangerous, I think, for the White Sox to trade this player because he might, again, just be scratching the surface of who he really can be. I'm kind of sick of hearing about how injured he is because if you do just look at the growth of the player, he's 26 years old. He's 6'2". He looks like the healthiest person I've ever seen in my life. I mean, what's wrong with him? He's not like a horse you have to take out back and shoot him. Like, he's had some difficulties with his hip flexor, but this does seem to be a budding, emerging superstar that is hitting the prime of his career. And I think we expect everyone to be like a Ken Griffey Jr. or a Mike Trout. But I think that this is going to be a player that 27 to 31 are going to be his superstar years. And the growth that we've seen from a 35 double, 35 homer season, I think has been extremely exciting. His isolated power, slugging minus average right now, is pretty much 300. I think it's 297. So his isolated power, his slugging minus average is 300. I think the average ISO right now is like 181 or something in Major League Baseball. He is an insane power hitter, and it's so fun to see him develop into more of a full hitter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've brought it up recently, and it's true. The walks and the plate discipline have looked better for a guy who's kind of infamous among White Sox fans for chasing the ball, right? So, I mean, in a way, he's solving that issue, maybe incrementally, but he is solving it. You're seeing him take, as Pedro keeps bringing up, as he keeps bringing up, you're seeing him take a lot of third strikes lately because he thinks they're outside the strike zone. It's a guy whose understanding of the strike zone seems to be evolving pretty quickly. It's not just grip it and rip it, so to speak, right? It's a guy who is evolving into a more refined hitter at the plate and from an approach standpoint. Obviously, though, the main strength that he has is still that when he hits the ball, it goes a million miles, right? And we saw that against Colorado when he hits the ball 470 feet to dead center. But, what did he say? I believe before he got hurt earlier in the year, he was telling us, yeah, I'm basically going to grip it and rip it until I get 2 strikes, and then I'm going to really dial in. And I mean, I don't know if that's what a hitting coach would tell you to do, but you could tell that he did that tonight when he gets down to 2 strikes, right? And he's got 2 runners in scoring position. The game is on the line, and he does what you're supposed to do. He takes what the pitcher gives him, and it's a single to center field. It's not the 3-run homer that maybe that you would go for or think about when you're stepping up to the plate. He does what needed to be done, and he gets the 2 runs in. Pedro's talked a lot about kind of how clutch Luis has been lately, and I think that there's a little truth to that as well. These are things you can't really necessarily teach. And listen, at the beginning of the year in spring training, we heard what you were just talking about, Sean, the idea that this guy could be getting even better. And it was kind of nonchalant that he would say, yeah, I expect to be better this year. Or the coaching staff would be like, yeah, he's going to get better kind of thing. And you're like, really? Last year, that was pretty good. We're expecting to see better than that. And I think that with the talent this guy has, the tools that he has, one of them being supposedly the arm that he has in center field, you are going to continue to see stuff from him that makes you go, wow. I mean, the defense is probably what impresses me the most because he does it so consistently. The idea that he's just closing those gaps and everything like that with ease. He makes it look easy. Makes that sliding catch against Colorado, and you're like, yeah, all right. Yeah, that's a play he was supposed to make. I don't know if that's a play that many people make, but he made it. Yeah, he's really good. And the fact, yeah, breaking news, he's really good. But yeah, the fact that he's in trade talks right now should still be kind of alarming to people because they have this great player and they have him for a few years.
And 2, I mean, we got to take a break here. Even if it is just, an 8-year run of Luis Robert Jr. and he's able to, have those 2 team options actually extended, I'll take 8 years of Luis Robert Jr. I don't want to be greedy. I just don't want him gone this year. We'll talk about more. I know Herb's got a comment after this, but we want to let you know about our friends over at Mando. Mando Whole Body Deodorant has been a game changer for me. I really have struggled to find the right deodorant. I can't lie. I've tried some clinical stuff. at the store. I've tried some natural stuff. Also
Leaves.
at the store. I've tried some leaves.
Sap.
Some cinnamon sticks. A mixture of leaves with cinnamon sticks.
Food. You're using food products now.
Yeah, I've gone to citrus. I really think that orange, when that was in season, that was a very powerful thing to use. There's been some flowers in my neighbor's garden that I've tried, but those really weren't strong enough for me. But what has been strong enough is Mando's 72-hour odor control, body odor control, BO, people. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Mando whole body deodorant is powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to use everywhere, allowing you to put Mando all over your body, because Mando is aluminum-free, baking soda-free, cruelty-free, dye-free, and vegan. We've been able to test out these products. Not only is the stick the best stick deodorant I've used, not only does it actually protect your armpit of sweat, but it also doesn't leave your clothes white like I've found with other deodorants. And along with that, they sent the cream tube deodorant. And I talked about this. I think cream tube deodorant might be the next place. I really do think that cream tube is the way to go. I don't think I'm ever going to buy a stick again. I think just a tube of deodorant is the right way to go.
Use a dollop, a daily dollop.
Use a dollop. Yeah. Maybe a dollop for both pits, but I really do think that this is the future. I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't have cream deodorant in Star Wars. That, as Peyton points out, did not take place in Illinois.
Because that's not the future. That's long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's the past, Sean.
Is that at Earth 2? That was a different podcast, Earth 2. All right, anyways, a Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, the cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like the mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And luckily, we have a discount to get you hooked on our favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code that equates to 40% off your starter pack. Again, new customers get $5 off a starter pack. That includes the solid stick, cream tube, and 2 free products of your choice. Use code CHGO at shopmando.com, SHOPMANDO.com. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Cuts Clothing. If you are looking to be the most stylish of your crew this summer, check out Cuts Clothing. Most guys would wear a t-shirt every day of their lives if they could. The problem is that most shirts are not acceptable to wear at work. You just can't wear your old raggedy Danzig shirt that you bought at Riot Fest from 2017. There's holes in the armpit, folks. With Cuts, that's not the case. They finally changed that. Cuts t-shirt are such high quality, wrinkle-free, and since they're new, they won't have any holes in the armpits. And you heard that right, wrinkle-free. You never have to substitute comfort for fashion again. Dive into Cuts this summer. It's Michael Chandler's favorite clothing company, and you could check them out by heading to cutsclothing.com by using code CHGO for 20% off. Ditch your old sweaty, dingy t-shirts and enjoy Cuts premium fabrics. Plus, you can also check out their bottom stretch-to-fit joggers. They look way better than your khakis and are 1,000 times more comfortable. So embrace the summer state of mind with Cuts. For a limited time, our listeners get 20% off your entire order when you use code CHGO at checkout. That's 20% off your order at cutsclothing.com with promo code CHGO. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Experience the perfect blend of style and comfort with Cuts Clothing. Andrew Vaughn and Luis Robert, we've talked a little bit about the positives there. We didn't talk much about Vaughn. I know he had 3 strikeouts, but raises his average to 244. I feel like ever since I had that minute-long rant where I'm like, he sucks, they're going to DFA him, he must follow you or somebody. He must have a burner account somewhere, and he saw that, because I think truly since June 4th when we tweeted that out, he has been on another level. I thought maybe it was just going to be contained to June, but here he is in July.
Ooh. Hitting
a home run. Was I too early to put the nail in the coffin of Andrew Vaughn?
Probably. In his last 30 games, 319, 360, 543. In his last 7 games, 304, 393, 652. So he's crushing the ball specifically lately. But also to get back to Luis Robert, the fact that he's got 10 home runs in 32 games is astonishing. I think he's hitting a home run every 12 plate appearances.
Is that good?
That's a little good. And I did some calculations. If he continues on this pace for the season that he's missed most of, I think he'll hit 35 home runs, on this same pace. If he went to 162, it'll be 54 home runs. He's just crushing the ball. That's ridiculous.
35 homers in a year where you miss almost 2 months. Yeah, that's impressive.
That's insane. And people want and like truly, another Phillies person on Twitter. And I know it's Twitter. I can't take these people seriously. This is not Dave Dombrowski or anything. But like, if you think that your team is not going to be offering your top 2 prospects up for Luis Robert Jr., you don't understand the player who you are trading for. And if the White Sox trade him for anything less, I will be sick to my stomach on this podcast. We'll have an emergency podcast sponsored by Indeed, and I'll be sick.
You'll need the empty line in Kugel bucket.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Oh God. But yeah, I mean, last 28 games, I know you just read this off. I mean, and this doesn't even include tonight. 330, 368, 541. The pop really does seem to be there. I don't know exactly what it has been. I know we looked earlier, and it seems like it's just mainly him pulling the ball. He pulled that homer tonight.
Crushed.
I'm just happy to see it. I'm glad to see that he's finally hitting the ball in the air and actually pulling it. So, Andrew Vaughn, good on you. Will they trade him?
No. I mean, what real value would you get for Andrew Vaughn in his 4th year where he's having overall pretty bad year? Like, if you just look at the numbers, like, it's not that great. And who's trading for a first baseman undersized that's having a bad year? And why would the White Sox trade him at a low value? These next couple years are going to be very, very key for Andrew Vaughn because he's not necessarily a guy that they really worry about leaving the organization after his year 6 service time. You could just have him on the team and be replaced by a bunch of people, including some of these draft picks. If they get the Caglione guy, they can just have him replace him, or Tim Elko, who's down in the minor leagues. So I don't think there's a lot of value for him, firstly. And then secondly, I think they just probably would more rather have him be successful on their team in the future.
If he keeps hitting like this, though, I think there will definitely be interest in Andrew Vaughn. I mean, if it seems like he's changed something and he's hitting 330 over the last 2 months, I think someone would be interested in. I forget who threw this idea out, but I didn't hear. This is not an original thought. Someone brought up the idea that with Rizzo struggling as much as he had, platooning him with Vaughn
And Yankees?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the
Spencer
Yankees
Jones?
obviously need. I mean, if you maybe Torkelson, but yeah, I mean, if you
Jason Dominguez?
if Vaughn was at 7th in your lineup, I don't think that's a bad spot, and you're also just trying to play that platoon game with a 36-year-old first baseman. So.
And then Mickey Mouse ballpark too. Pop flies to right field, be gone.
I mean, he had that game against the Yankees in his rookie year where he took Aroldis Chapman deep on like a 101-mile-per-hour fastball.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I miss those days. All right, let's get into the lineup construction. What, again, is very exciting about Luis Robert Jr. Gushing about the guy who wouldn't. He led off today, and that was the big thing with at least the homer. Corey Lee, or was it? Yeah, it was Corey, right? Gets on with that like swinging bunt.
Yeah.
Corey gets on with the swinging bunt, and immediately he comes up with a runner on first, and he's able to drive in 2 runs with for the Sox. I think it's been weird that he was batting third. I understand it with the opening day lineup because I forget who led off. It was
Benintendi, I would imagine.
Yeah.
right. It was Benny, Moncada, Robert. But with Moncada out, I really haven't understood why he hasn't batted second, because it was less about getting guys on base and just more getting one of your best hitters as many plate appearances as possible. If he's hitting a homer in every 12 plate appearances, maybe we try to get him more plate appearances. I mean, I think that would be a pretty good idea. So I'm very thrilled about the idea of him leading off. Do we think that's going to be a thing we see from here on out?
I mean, the guy had a heck of a game at the plate tonight doing that, and usually there is some hot hand mentality to some lineup construction, especially when you try something new and it works out. This White Sox team has had trouble scoring runs for much of this season. You have a night where you score 6 runs and 4 of them are driven in by the leadoff man. It really kind of, I don't want to say flies in the face, but at least kind of proves that your leadoff hitter can still be an RBI guy. And I think that we'll definitely see him leading off tomorrow. I don't know how long it lasts or if it's here to stay or anything like that. But if Pedro was like, might as well give this a try tonight, well, it worked. So might as well keep doing it, right?
I mean, Tommy Pham had the day off, and he's been struggling mightily since he came back. But I think more than likely Pedro just likes Tommy Pham at the top of the order. I don't know why he likes Andrew Benintendi hitting second. So I would have that perfect situation. We were either Luis Robert or Tommy Pham's hitting first, and then have the next guy hit right after him. I know Pedro likes to stagger right, left. But if the guy's not hitting, get him out of the top of the lineup. Like, those are automatic outs for Andrew Benintendi. You need to see Luis Robert more. And hitting at the top of the lineup more than Andrew Benintendi hitting anytime. So I also like to have Andrew Vaughn be moved up in the order too, because he is crushing the ball, as we just talked about, and give him more opportunities to drive in runs. And that's why I have a huge problem with Andrew Benintendi, because those are outs instead of being on base, what somebody else could be doing. You're getting outs, and then those solo home runs for Andrew Vaughn instead of 2-run home runs or 3-run home runs.
I completely forgot about Tommy Pham not starting tonight. So, yeah, I don't know if Robert will be back there tomorrow. But Pham at the top of the order has been pretty consistent, and it's worked a fair amount. But
he's getting on 34% of the time.
But also, too, like I would just say, like, hey, you gave Robert the opportunity to be there tonight, and he hit amazingly.
Well, and then, too,
and he almost won you the game because he drove in so many runs.
I think the other part we didn't talk about, he drives in the 2-run single in the 6th and then steals second base.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's
he completely gave it to him, but yeah.
Right, but I mean, that's the other aspect, too, is if he's going to be walking and he's going to be a little bit more contact-oriented, and then you also have to worry about the power, well, then what if guys start pitching around him a little bit, and then he's on first base getting an intentional walk? Of course he's going to try to steal second to at least, with a team that's struggling to score runs, I mean, take that extra 90 feet, and he's gotten, I think, 4 stolen bases since he's come back from the hip flexor. It hasn't been something that he's totally pushed, but the speed is still there. I don't know if there's a little bit of hesitancy with the hip flexor injury, but it doesn't seem like his speed is diminished. So if the opportunity is there, I think he could steal some bags for you.
And also, this is not a new conversation. I mean, like, we were having this conversation in spring training, right? I mean, this is the idea of Luis Robert Jr. being a leadoff hitter seems like it's not like a wild one, right? Like, it seems to me like that would just make plenty of sense to put him there, and it could have, not just now, but for the whole time he's been in the big leagues.
When was the last time that he's hit leadoff, though? I mean, was it his rookie year, or was it 2021? Because I think it's been a while since this has been his position. I don't know. I'll look this up and try to figure this out. But I'm all for it. I hope it continues to happen. I know you bring up Pham, but I don't know if I would love to see him hitting leadoff. I'm fine with him batting second. He also has been pretty rough since that Milwaukee injury.
I'm just talking about what I think Pedro might do. That's all. Yeah.
He did end up having 6 games started last year at leadoff. Wasn't good. 1 hit in 18 at-bats. Don't really remember that. But, 2021 and 2020, 2020 had 7 games leading off, and then 2021, 13 games leading off. So maybe we'll see more Luis Robert Jr. leading off. Let's take one more final break, and then we will jump into some futures talk with some prospects that have jumped up the rankings. The rankings have also changed. We'll also talk about the upcoming futures game. We want to let you know about our friends over at Indeed. We are driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employees agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to the other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Leveraging over 140 qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine constantly is learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
That's what they say in the golf.
They do.
And we've got some of the golf coming up, guys. You can join a ton of us CHGO hosts for the inaugural Cookout Classic Golf Tournament. That's presented by Miller Lite, Shady Rays, and Circus Sports Illinois. It's going to be July 22nd at St. Andrews Golf and Country Club. And you can sign up right now as an individual, a twosome, or a foursome. That entry fee includes 18 holes with a cart, tee gift for every player, a token for a complimentary Miller Lite, hole contests, great giveaways, prizes for contest holes, winning teams, and the last place team. So if you're terrible, you might get a prize. There's one complimentary spiked armored Arnold Palmer per person. There's lunch and a ceremony after the round, and there's a cash bar for alcoholic beverages. Guys, that's just one of the many fun things we do here over at CHGO, which, of course, folks can become a diehard, join our diehard crew, and then you get more than just what we do, which is live shows every day on every team here in Chicago. But you can get even more. You can get the premium written content for diehards. You can get 20% off events just like that Cookout Classic, and you get a free shirt when you become a member as well. You can also join that members-only Discord, the CHGO Lounge. Remember, too, that there is merchandise for all teams, which comes at a discounted rate for those diehards. So, guys, what are you waiting for? Go on over to allchgo.com, find out how you can become a diehard, and also join us at the Cookout Classic at St. Andrews on July 22nd.
A spiked Arnold Palmer?
A spiked Arnold Palmer. You drink it, and then you just spike it into the ground.
I thought he's not with us anymore.
We call it teeing off. You shotgun it right before you tee off.
The drink.
That's not. Are you getting your money's worth that way, though, Kevin?
Have a couple.
If you're getting your money's worth, you just sip. You sip. You take a sip, swing, drive, sip, swing, drive.
Don't golf
That's what they
carts
should call it.
have cup holders?
Yeah.
Also, isn't that drinking and driving?
No.
No?
Not an official motor vehicle. It's not street legal. You can't drive around the city in a golf cart.
Yeah.
I don't need to be a cop, so I'll
you'll be
just
all right.
avoid it.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
All right, let's...
Have you never golfed before? That's the only reason you golf.
I can't drink. I've never golfed in my life, so no, I've never golfed. All right, so let's get the new stuff out of the way. The Futures roster was announced today. The White Sox have 2 participants that will be taking place in the Futures game this year. 1, shortstop Colson Montgomery, and 2 is Noah Schultz, the pitching prospect for the Chicago White Sox. So congratulations to those 2 players. Very exciting. And a new MLB Pipeline prospects ranking has been released. Not so good news for Colson Montgomery. He did fall a little bit. He's now the 16th prospect according to MLB Pipeline, still in the top 20. And now in the top 20, aforementioned, Noah Schultz, the left-handed pitcher. So congrats to those 2. The White Sox now have 2 players in the top 20 for MLB Pipeline's prospect list. Drew Thorpe also jumped up a little bit. He has graduated to Major League Baseball, but he is still a prospect. He's now 38th on their list. And Edgar Caro. Herb, how do we say it?
Caro.
Vinny, how do we say it?
Like Care
How
Bears.
do we say what?
Caro's last name.
Oh, Caro.
Hey, Kevin Wells, I know you're on your phone, but how do you say Edgar Caro's last name?
Sounds right to me.
Okay. Well, no, but can you say it for me?
Edgar Caro?
Caro, there you go. Okay, it's not
Or
that
is
hard.
it Cairo?
No. And it's
Like
not
Egypt?
Cuero. It's not Jose Cuervo. It's not Edgar Cuero.
I think that when he
Caro.
comes up, a good nickname maybe to remind people the pronunciation. It's helpful with the pronunciation and he gets a nickname. The Caro Barrow.
Yes.
The Care Bear.
That's not bad.
Sure.
Caro Barrow.
It's also just not that tough. I mean, I know it's not all of us can go to Baseball Reference and click on the player page for Edgar Caro, and it says, CARE-O. It's not like a tough pronunciation either. Just Care-O.
Care Bear. The Care Bear.
By the way, for the
Go
listeners,
Care
I'm
Bear.
on my phone doing work things.
I know you are.
I'm in the
not-
chat.
I know
Don't
you
bus toss me in front of these
Well,
great fans we have
I
here.
just needed to grab your attention. But anyways, Edgar Caro, now a top 75 MLB prospect. He ranks at 74. The one player that I didn't mention there is George Wolko. And George Wolko has had a really interesting time at Kannapolis. In his first 11 games, Wolko, the 18-year-old, had 28 Ks. Not so good.
No.
43 at-bats, 28
That's
strikeouts,
a lot.
4 walks, and 6 hits. That's a K percentage of 58.3.
Tie.
Very, very high.
Yeah.
But what we learn about players, especially who are 18 years old, playing in a league that has a 3-year age difference on average, maybe there's some room for growth. In his next 13 games, George Wolko has 17 strikeouts, 6 walks, and 15 hits. His K percentage is now under 34%. And what I heard on the Future Sox podcast, and Ian Eskridge and James Fox did a phenomenal job, is that recently, pretty much when George Wolko had this change, the roving minor league instructors for the White Sox paid a visit to Kannapolis. And he's made these adjustments since. And
He got coached up.
He's got coached up. And he's been swinging less, been a little bit more selective with his swings, and he hasn't been afraid to go the opposite way. He's had some left center home runs that way, but he's also been able to get some singles here and there. He's 6'7".
Mm-hmm.
He's already over 200 pounds. He had a triple during this show, so he had another extra base hit. He also had a double today. And he got
that big guy hit a triple?
Oh, big guy can fly.
Puts him down.
The big guy's fast. I mean, the White Sox might have their own Spencer Jones here. And Spencer Jones is, 23? He was like 24 when the Yankees were trying to trade for him for Dylan Cease. It is incredibly exciting, this player. He'll likely be a back-end top 100 prospect in 2025. He's not in the current rankings, but I think that he has a chance to get there. And what James mentioned is you might see 7th-round draft pick, but he signed for $1 million in the 7th round. That's more 2nd to 3rd round money. He was a top 60 prospect in the draft class last year, so 7th round really doesn't matter when you look at the actual scouting reports on him. He was thought of as a top 60 prospect. And along with that, he's 18 years old. So he should have been graduating in June of this year from Downers Grove. He reclassified to be in this draft, or to be in last year's draft. And if he was in this draft, he likely would be up there with Connor Griffin. And now I'm forgetting the other guy's name, the other top prep player, but he would be up there with those prep players going in the first round. So this is a steal from Mike Shirley. And I know we've really been singing his praises with Garrett Crochet, Noah Schultz, and Colson Montgomery. This has the possibility, because he is a position player, to be Mike Shirley's finest work. So I'm very, very excited, very, very thrilled with George Wolkow's growth, and again, very excited about it. You're seeing less strikeouts, and Ian Estrick said less strikeouts, more groundouts, and flyouts, and you'd rather see that along with more walks and just more hits.
Like, the power is natural, and he's 6'7", he's a big boy, so he's probably been dominating high school pitching and other pitching his whole life. But the thing that you read off that was the most impressive to me is the growth. Like, him being amenable to coaching, to understand what's going on in the game, to understand that you don't have to swing at every pitch. And if they are going to throw you a certain way, you can adjust to how they're throwing you and go the other way. So, yeah, that is very, very good for an 18-year-old to be already in A-ball and crushing the ball. It feels good. And I hope the progression, and don't rush the kid. It could take years for him to get up. As Sean says, he's 18. It might be until he's 21 until he gets up there, and that'll be perfectly fine. Let him grow. Let him just take his time, because his team's not going anywhere. And when he's ready, he'll tell you with his bat and with his glove.
Wolko will love you, baby.
I will bite my tongue, not because of what you said, Vinny, but...
What, you want him here tomorrow?
You want him on the team like next year?
He's 18, Sean.
Take some time.
Maybe you said 21. I mean, maybe he'll be 20. Maybe 2026.
Yes.
Outfield of Luis Robert Jr., George Wolko, and
Luis
Andrew
Robert
Benintendi.
Jr. Didn't you hear they're trading him?
No, they plan to intend to trade Garrett Crochet.
He won't be here by that time.
You didn't like my joke? I said George Wolko, Luis Robert Jr., and Andrew Benintendi.
They're not
going to be able to trade.
Where's Benintendi going?
I'm about to say, yeah.
They're trying to trade him. Did you hear?
They're the ones who signed him to a 5-year deal.
Yes, they are. We tried to warn them. All right. Anything else for you guys, especially with the futures game? We really didn't talk much about that. Kind of brushed over that. Also with Montgomery dropping a little bit, is there any worries? Are you more excited about Noah Schultz rising than Montgomery dropping? Any final thoughts before we wrap the show?
I think it's pretty much negligible if you're from 12 to 18 or wherever you went. It really doesn't matter. Other players just went up. He's still a top 20 prospect. It doesn't mean he's worse. It just means that other players got better. For me,
it's okay. It's okay for him if he needs to take his time at AAA, right? I mean, as Herb just mentioned about a guy who's only 18 years old, the same really applies for Colson Montgomery, who's on the brink of the big leagues, right? They don't need him. They don't need him to win games right away. So let him take his time and let him get here when he needs to get here. The reason there is excitement over the prospect ranking and over the prospect in general is because the White Sox see him as somebody who can be part of things for a long, long time, not necessarily just part of things in September or part of things in 2025. It's about him being a franchise cornerstone, and the amount of time that it takes to get him right and to get him to be that level of big leaguer is worth it if the payoff is what a lot of folks think it'll be.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed for Colson. Also, too, I excited. We obviously know he's had a little bit of struggles at the plate, but I mean, we're still kind of questioning where he'll play defensively as well. Like, I don't know if there's been a true answer on if shortstop is his future position. I don't know if he's really answered those questions at AAA so far.
I get what you're saying in terms of the quality, but
they're going to put him there.
But he's playing shortstop,
they'll
and I think
him
he's
there.
going to continue to play shortstop.
But also with Jacob Gonzalez's development, like, I mean, they do have a backup, I think, a backup plan for him at shortstop. So at least to point about depth, I've complained about White Sox depth. They do have a first rounder to replace their first rounder if the first rounder doesn't work out. So I'll take that.
As you were talking about, shortstops are always good to get, and they can always be moved to another position where they can shine. See the San Diego Padres. Bunch of shortstops.
Oh, yeah.
Playing all around the field.
Where did Fernando Tatis, who'd he sign with?
He signed with this team, the Chicago White Sox.
Right, thank you for that. I just before we end the show, I was huffing paint earlier.
Oh, no.
I really am just kind of enamored by George Wolko. This is from @NotCease on Twitter. George Wolko now has the highest OPS of any 18-year-old above rookie ball at .877. The only other player, and this was from June 28th, that had a higher OPS back from June 28th. Wolko's raised it from 831 to 877 was Colt Emerson. He's the 48th overall prospect in baseball for the Mariners. And then also this is from Prospect Tilt. And I don't know if these numbers are truly accurate because this is a little bit of using Fangraph's search engine. And I don't know if it's perfect because he does have a certain cap of 90 at-bats. And I don't know if there's other players that did it in 90 at-bats. It's not really like a span. You can't search like on Baseball Reference for the first 90 at-bats of a player's career. But since 2006, hitters in A-ball with at least 5 home runs, aged 19 and younger, with less than 90 at-bats. Juan Soto in 2018, 5 homers and 59 at-bats. 2011, Domingo Santana, 5 homers and 68 at-bats. And then 2024, George Wolko, 6 homers and 83 at-bats. And Wolko is the youngest, as the other two were 18 and a little bit older, 18 some change, 19, and then Wolko, a recent 18-year-old. So very excited for George Wolko's future, and we'll see what happens because we'll be here tomorrow, and we will be here on Friday, so make sure you tune in. There will be no July 4th show, and we typically have a Sunday postgame show, but there will be no Sunday postgame show this week, so your schedule for the White Sox, postgame show Wednesday, show on Friday that will be posted, and then on Monday we'll be back with more postgame as the White Sox start to take on the
Minnesota Twins.
Pirates. Pirates is next Sunday.
Pirates is the following weekend, yeah.
Hit that thumbs up button. Appreciate you joining us. That's Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That's Herb Lawrence, our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. Thank you to Kevin Wells for producing us. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Hey, can you play that Panther growl as we say goodbye? We really appreciate that. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.